all of us can derive some encouragement from the fact that even today, everyone directly concerned with the conflict in Vietnam subscribes to the continuing validity of the Geneva Agreement. Mr. President, there can be no doubt that the world community is eagerly and anxiously searching for ways and means to bring the conflict in Vietnam to an end. We feel confident that if the bombing of North Vietnam is ended, a way out could perhaps be found to move the parties from the battlefield to the conference table. We are equally confident that in the ensuing negotiations, modalities could be worked out between all the parties concerned, including the National Liberation Front of South Vietnam, for the full implementation of the Geneva Agreement. It's also our earnest hope that the very compulsion of preserving national identity and national interests would make Vietnam of the future self-regarding and independent. In this context, the Secretary General has made a very wise observation when he states that, quote, the basic problem in Vietnam is not one of ideology, but one of national identity and survival, unquote. They did not suffer from a sense of isolation. We do not for a moment regret having made a sincere effort in that direction. While we do not wish our vision to be a slogan, unless all of us could feel a sense of assurance that we can fashion our respective destinies in the light of our own experience, tradition, and we in India are amazed at the staggering disproportion between the actual size of the problem and the ineffectiveness on the part of the administering power in clear. There is no government on this earth which can remain immune forever from the pressures generated by the world community and the conscience which it embodies. It is in that hope and that faith that we have persisted and shall continue to persist in lending our support to the cause of liberation of the peoples of Southwest Africa and of Mozambique and Angola. This great organization must give hope to all those who are suffering and striving for the liberation of mankind from dehumanizing doctrines of racialism and intolerance, discrimination and oppression of one people by another. Mr. President, there can be no doubt that the most serious menace which the world faces today rises from the feverish arms race that is going on amongst the nuclear weapon powers. The United Nations adopted a resolution at the last session of the UN General Assembly on non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, in which it stated categorically that a treaty on the subject must be based on certain principles, one of which is that it should embody an acceptable balance of mutual responsibilities and obligations of nuclear weapon powers and non-nuclear weapon powers. It is to us axiomatic that all countries, namely those who possess nuclear weapons as well as those who do not, must assume similar obligations in respect of non-proliferation, and there should be some progress on nuclear disarmament as a whole. It is our firm belief that countries such as ours, newly emergent and trying to give bread and liberty to their people, can best serve the cause of peace in the world through consistent adherence to the principles of non-alignment. In the measure this is recognized by the great powers and small, in that measure we will generate the confidence that nations can develop, give a better way of life to their peoples, maintain liberty and national dignity in freedom and diversity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Je remercie le ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Inde.